Good evening, folks. It's the evening of May 15th as I'm doing this recording here. And as you can see, well, obviously I'm not in my home. I'm in another hotel room with the red wall behind me. But that's what we get for the backdrop here tonight. But thank you, everybody, for joining me here. Hope all of you will be joining me on the radio program tomorrow night. Obviously, again, I want to say that there's still plenty of seats available for the workshop this coming Saturday in Atlanta and then 2 weeks after that in Minneapolis. At both of those workshops, Mr. M and Ms. M will be my guests. They will be there live, and you will have great opportunities to ask them all the questions you want to ask, and then they will explain what is their process and their procedure, because they are a part of the team that is providing the funding for us coming up in these issues. Now, 2 weeks ago, I had talked about in the program about why is this happening for us? What is this shift and change that we're going through? What is it that's taking place? Why are these funds being released into the world at this time? And then last week, I talked about these shifts and changes that are coming our way as we're moving into this new world. The new types of power and control for the elite, what we call a cabal, is going to be what is called the artificial intelligence, the transhumanist agenda. And I talked about that. And I touched briefly on what is it for us to get beyond that. And it's developing what is called this heart consciousness. This week on the radio program, I'm going to talk about what is separation consciousness. That's what empowers them to do what they do. It's what creates the vast majority of all of our problems that we have as humanity. Because, see, we live in a world where everything is unified. Everything is connected. It's what's called quantum entanglement. But when we in our thoughts, and with we in the power of our mind, when we start separating, dividing, creating division, creating discourse, we basically strip that entanglement. The healthiness of that entanglement is what we do. That leads to all of our problems. The people who are really in power and control, they know that and they understand it. And they're always attempting to create scenarios that keep us in that manner. Whether it's separation consciousness, whether it's duality consciousness, or whether it's ego consciousness, as it's talked about in Course in Miracles, they're all basically through the same thing. What overcomes that is what is called this heart consciousness. It's a development of something that takes place and gets empowered inside this deep within our hearts, in a part of us that for most of us in humanity, this has been fairly dormant for us for thousands of years. But we're now moving into an era where we're beginning to wake up. We're beginning to understand what that is. And we're beginning to empower ourselves to move into that. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow night on the radio program. I'm going to talk about how important it is for us to understand this. Because, see, if this money comes forward and you end up getting a lot of money and you're still deeply embedded into the separation consciousness process, it's a very high probability that that becomes an entrapment. It becomes an ability to keep us in that entrapped, what we call separation situation. My friends, Mr. M and Ms. M, they understand where we're going with this. As sources of these funds, they understand that the real purpose of this is to enlighten humanity, to free us from literally thousands of years of what we call financial slavery, and to move into a new era that we can, as a human race, basically free ourselves from what has been this enslavement process to these elite cabal people for thousands of years. This is the time. This is the era of the change. The change doesn't happen overnight. The change happens over a process of years. But somewhere it starts, and it gets to start with us. And I'm going to explain that on the radio program tomorrow night about what is our role, what's important for us to be involved in this process. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. Love all of you, and hope to see you on the radio program tomorrow night. Okay. Bye-bye.